Greetings, all of my friends in the yard. This is Dr. Dave Burrows, all the way from Nassau, Bahamas. And today, I want to share with you about maximizing your potential. Now, first of all, let's begin by understanding what potential is. Potential is having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. So your potential is what you are capable of becoming. Another way of looking at potential is that potential is what we would call dormant ability, reserve power, hidden talents, untapped ability. So potential is something that is waiting to be released and waiting to be maximized. Let me give you another example. A baby boy is a potential man. Whether he becomes a man or not depends upon whether or not his potential is realized. So in the right environment, with the right encouragement, he will be able to achieve his potential. With the wrong environment, the wrong encouragement, he could abort his potential. So potential is very important. Another example of potential is a seed. Every seed is a potential forest, not just a tree. Because a seed has a tree in it, and the tree has fruit in it, and the fruit has seed in it. So one seed is potentially a forest. But if the seed never gets planted, then it means the cycle never begins and its potential is not released. Now, here's a key that I want you to remember. I want you to remember 3 words. I want you to put up your hands like this, the number 3. Remember these 3 words. So if you want to maximize your potential, you have to remember to live in 3D. What are the 3 Ds? The 3 Ds are discover, develop, and dominate. Say that with me. Say discover, develop, and dominate. Now let's begin talking about discovery. You know, Usain Bolt was once a potential fastest man in the world. Before he maximized his potential, he was a potential fastest runner in the world. But he had to discover his gift. If he never discovered his gift, he would have died and no one would have been benefited from his gift. No one would know who he is. No one would know about his accomplishments because there would be none if he didn't discover his gift. So the first thing he had to do to become what he was designed to be is to discover his gift. And every one of you in this place today, you have a gift. The key to your success is discovering your gift. Say this with me. Say, I will discover my gift. And I want you to know that you must discover your gift. So he had to discover his gift, but if he discovered his gift and that's all he did, it would have been a nice thing. But not only did he discover his gift, he developed his gift. And in life, you have to develop your gift. You can't just discover it. If you discover it, then the responsibility is on you to develop it. And once you've developed your gift, then the next step is to dominate in your gift. So remember the 3 Ds: discover, develop, and dominate. Now, when we think about Usain Bolt, he dominated in a very prominent gift. Some of us, our gifts are not so prominent. But whatever gift you have is all that you were given, and you have to maximize it. A friend of mine once said this. He said, the richest place on earth is not the diamond mines or the gold mines of Africa. It's not Wall Street. It's not Facebook. It's not Amazon. The richest place on earth is the graveyard. Now, why is the richest place on earth the graveyard? Because there are businesses that were never built. There were books that were never written. There are songs that were never sung. So what you want to make sure that you do in life is you must discover your gift. There are people who are full of potential, but they never maximize what they had. And in the process, they deprive the world of the opportunity to benefit from their greatness. And that's what happens in the graveyard. People die, and we never benefit from their greatness. So the first thing that we have to do is discover. Say that with me. Say discover. So discover is number one. Now, let's talk a little bit about discovery. The most important thing that you have in life is not your origin, it's not your race, it's not your status. The most important thing in your life is what you are carrying. What are you carrying? All of us, we carry something. And that's what we need to discover, the gift that we have. There is something inside of all of us, but it begins with discovering your potential. Now, some of you may be saying, well, I don't have any potential. I'm just an ordinary person. I came from the wrong neighborhood. I'm poor, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian. You may have all kinds of excuses, and you say, I don't have potential. Well, I want you to look at this guy on the screen. He has an amazing story. Not only was he born without arms or legs, when he was a little boy, he was bullied and ridiculed, and people teased him because he didn't have arms or legs. And if it was most of us, we would have said, I can't make it. People talking bad about me. I don't have arms and legs. I give up. And he almost gave up. He came to the point in his life where he wanted to commit suicide because he felt like he didn't have anything to offer the world. But one day he met someone, and that person told him, you have potential. You have a gift. And he discovered his gift. His gift was public speaking. And today, he is a multi-millionaire. He flies around on private jets. No arms, no legs. He was depressed. He was ready to commit suicide. But yet today, the world is benefiting from his gift. If he could make it, what's your excuse for not making it? You can make it too. I want to share with you something else. If you don't think you have potential, remember that name of the gentleman that I just showed you. His name was Nick Vujicic. And you can Google him or Facebook or YouTube and find him on YouTube. There is something inside of you because God gave all of us something to offer the world. We were all born with some talent, some gift, or some ability. And whatever you have in your life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to him. I want to show you another example. There's this young man on the screen, and I know you're probably wondering, who's this young man? But this young man, he had potential. He could be great. He had all kinds of things ahead of him, but he made some wrong choices. He ended up on the streets. He ended up in police chases. He ended up wanted. He ended up in all kinds of situations. 40 years. And you may say, well, what happened to him? Well, what happened to him is right in front of you. This is Dr. Dave Burrows, previously known as Davy B. So, if I can make it from making mistakes in my past to having a great future, you can make it too. And you know what happened in my life? In my life, I went from making bad choices to good choices. So there came a point in time where I ran into somebody who shared with me some information, talked to me about my potential, talked to me about possibilities, and I changed my course. I went in a different direction. And as I went in a different direction, things began to change in my life. So I came from the streets, and my life changed, and I went back to try to change other lives. So I started working with guys in gangs. I started working with guys on the streets. I started picking up my friends who were bank robbers and murderers, and I talked to them, and I told them, you have potential. Your life can be better. And because of what I did in releasing my gift, I discovered that I had a gift also of public speaking. People wanted to hear my story. People wanted to hear what I had to say. And this gift has taken me around the world. The image you see on your screen now, this is in Israel. I'm speaking to 3,000 leaders from around the world. There's another image here. This is from Africa. I'm speaking to 7,500 leaders in Africa. How did that happen? It happened because I discovered my gift. And you have to discover your gift too. Now, let's talk about what you were born with. I want to tell you what you were born with. Everybody is born with what I call T-A-G. Say that with me. Say T-A-G. What is T-A-G? Everybody has a tag. T-A-G. T-A-G means talents, abilities, and gifts. So all of us have talents, we have abilities and gifts. Everyone is born with it. So what you have to do is you have to discover your talents, your abilities, and your gifts. And if you get them in the right soil and the right environment, that your gifts and talents will spring forward. Every tree, every seed needs the right soil. If you take a seed and you put it on the pavement, it'll never grow. But if you put it in nice soft dirt with water, it'll grow. So here's a key that I want you to remember. Remember this. Go where you can grow. Say that with me. Say, go where I can grow. You have to go where you can grow. And remember to manage your tag, your talents, your gifts, and your abilities. Your talents, abilities, and gifts. And then there's one more thing to add on to that. Talents, abilities, gifts, and experiences are what help you to not only discover your gift, but to cause your gift to be developed. And so now let's talk about developing your gift. I'm excited about this. Everyone has a gift, and once you discover it, the next step is developing it. How do you develop your gift? Well, remember what I just said. First of all, you have to go where you can grow. That means you have to be around people who promote your gift. You have to be around people who recognize your gift. You have to be around people who water your gift. Your gift is like a seed. If you get around the wrong people, somebody said this one time, they said, show me your friends and I will show you your future. So you're going to be just like the people you hang around. So look at your friends and see where they're going. If your friends are going to jail, you next. Young lady, if your friends, if 4 of your friends are pregnant, then you the next one. So if you don't want to end up in that position, you have to go somewhere else where you can grow. In my life, you know what I had to do? In order to grow, I had to leave my friends behind. All of my friends were on the streets. My friends were drug dealers. My friends were bank robbers. I had all kinds of people I was around. But that was not the right growth environment. I needed to get somewhere where I can grow. And so I went into a different environment. I met a young man. His name was Dr. Miles Monroe. And he encouraged me and helped me to develop my gift. And so the gift that was on the inside of me, it grew because I was in the right environment. I want to tell you a quick story about a young man right here in the Bahamas. He's no longer in the Bahamas. But I remember as a 15-year-old, he came and he said, I don't have a job. And we said, okay, you can work, but we can't pay you. And he said, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll work. So he worked as a videographer. And as he worked as a videographer, he discovered that this is one of his gifts. And he developed that gift. And as he developed the gift, eventually we began to pay him because the person who he was working under left. And then he developed his gift so well that we could no longer pay him his value. So he got another job. And then while he was on that other job, someone else came along to do a shoot in the Bahamas from Canada. And they talked to him and they invited him to come to Canada. So today he is now in Canada and he has his own company and he's working. Why? Because he developed his gift. He discovered and developed his gift. So make sure you develop your gift. Now, I want to share with you something very, very important. I want you to remember this about gifts. In life, the door to your potential is motion activated. What do I mean? Sometimes you go into an airport, and when you're going into the airport, there's a door. There's a glass door. And as you begin to walk to the door doesn't move. But the closer you get, then all of a sudden the door moves because it's motion activated. When you move toward your goal, things begin to move. So never say, I am not going to develop my gift. You have to start moving now. Start moving before anybody invites you to move. Make sure you develop your gift. Here's another thing I want you to remember about developing your gift. Remember this. Focus on your potential rather than your problem. Sometimes there are people in life, they spend all their lives focusing in on their problem. You know, I'm too young, I'm too short, I'm too small, I can't do this, I can't do that. And they spend their lives discussing the problem. Focus on your potential rather than your problem. And remember this, don't let your situation determine your conversation. There are some people, they speak based upon what environment they're in. So if they're in the ghetto, they speak ghetto. If they're in a losing environment, they speak as a loser. Don't let your situation determine your conversation. So even if you are in the ghetto, talk to yourself and say, you know, one day I'm going to become something great. One day I'm going to move out of here. I may be born in the ghetto, but the ghetto is not born in me. Because you see, there's one space that no one can occupy in your life. And that's your own personal soul and your mind. You determine what goes in and what comes out. Even if whatever environment you're in, you can still talk to yourself. Just like that young man with no answer, you have to tell yourself, I may have been born in the ghetto, but the ghetto is not born in me. So remember, don't let your situation determine your conversation. The next thing I want you to remember is this. Find the purpose in the problem. Every problem has a purpose. Sometimes you may have a problem in your life and you may say, well, you know, this problem is so bad, but many times your problem is the key to your success. Every business in the world makes money because they solve a problem. If your car breaks down, who do you look for? A mechanic. So a mechanic is a problem solver. So find the purpose in the problems around you. Maybe there's something that's happening in your life that's a problem. And when you figure out how to solve it, when you find the purpose in the problem, you find the key to developing your potential. Remember this about life. Every battle is a lesson. If you lose and you don't learn, it means that you lost twice. Every battle is a lesson. If you lose and don't learn, you've lost twice. Here's another statement I want you to remember. A champion is not made in the ring, he is revealed in the ring. So a champion doesn't become a champion by showing up one day in the ring. He becomes a champion by going in the gym, by exercising, by running 5 o'clock in the morning, by disciplining his body, by eating right. All of these things precede becoming a champion. So if you want to become a champion in life, you have to put in the work. You have to get up in the morning. You have to develop your gift. You have to spend time. You have to do research. If your gift is a physical gift, you have to exercise. If it's a mental gift, you have to research. Go on Google and research. The interesting thing about the story of David and Goliath is that if Goliath never showed up, David would only be known as a shepherd boy. So his problem released his potential. Here was this giant. The giant was threatening to kill everyone in the valley. And David faced the problem. And he faced the problem with confidence. And he began to speak to the problem. And he said, this day you're going down. And because he faced his problem, he became known as one of the greatest kings of all time. So don't look at your problem as an enemy. Look at your problem and say, you're going down just like everyone else. A young man one day, and this is very important in developing your gift. I talked about going where you can grow, but remember this. Remember that you can always change course. Some people in life, they think, well, I can only be the environment that I was born in. So if I was born in the ghetto, if I was born in a gang, if I was born in a negative situation, that's where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. One day there was a young man, he was walking to school. And as he was walking to school, some guys came and beat him up. The next day, he walked to school, they beat him up again. So the third day, when he was preparing for school, he told his friends in the neighborhood, and he asked them what to do. And so one of his friends said, well, let me give you a baseball bat. So when you encounter them, you can beat them up. And then another one said, well, you should have a machete. And so there was an old man in the corner, and the old man said, young man, let me tell you how to solve your problem. He said, today, walk down a different street. So sometimes all it takes is changing your course, going in a different direction. In order to develop your potential, there are three things. One is creativity, one is innovation, and creativity and innovation produces success. So learn how to be creative. In other words, learn how to develop things where no one else has seen it before. Let me give you an example. One of the largest car companies in the world doesn't own any car. It's called Uber. It's a taxi service, but they don't own any taxis. There's another hotel chain called Airbnb. They don't own any hotels, but they are one of the largest hotel chains in the world. Why? Because they began to think differently. They were creative. They find a different way to solve a problem. And the key to your success is you finding a problem, thinking differently, and solving it. And if someone else can do it, you can do it. If Dave Burrows can do it, you can do it. If Nick Vujicic can do it, you can do it. So all things are possible if you believe. And now we get to the third and final D. The first D is what? Discover. The second D is what? Develop. The third D is dominate. Dominate means to take authority over, to be in charge of, to master. So in life, you want to dominate. You don't want to just discover and develop. You want to dominate. See, you want to dominate like Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt dominated his gift. And whatever your potential is, you need to become dominant in your potential. How do you do that? You do that by acceleration. Acceleration means you get every resource that is available to you. You don't waste time. You make the most of every opportunity. So you keep trying to find out, how do I get better? How do I become smarter? How do I achieve my goal? So you have to accelerate. And you have to put all the pieces together. When you are maximizing your potential, when you are dominating, it means that you put all the pieces together. So you have to think. You have to come up with solutions. You have to have fun in doing it. You have to brainstorm. You have to come up with ideas and inventions. You got to be positive. You have to have the right mindset. You have to have insight, and you have to have vision. All of this is a part of the process of dominating. On the screen is what is called a speedometer. So acceleration means you push your feet on the gas pedal. And when you push your feet on the gas pedal, the car speeds up. So for your potential, you need to put your foot on the gas pedal and accelerate it. And that leads to domination. Here's one of the keys that I want you to remember about dominating in life. Don't look for a profession, pursue purpose. What do I mean? A lot of people are just looking for a job. A job is fine and a job is good. But if you never discover your purpose, you can spend your life in a job you don't like. So pursue your purpose. Remember this. You were made for something great. All of us, we were made for something great. None of us were made to be mediocre. We can all be great at something. It doesn't mean that you'll be famous. Not everybody will be famous. Not everybody will be rich, but we can all be great. And say this with me, because great is what we are going for. And great is what I'm going for today. In my life, I'm trying to be great. I'm going to tell you a story about a young man that I worked with several years ago. The young man is called, his nickname is Landlord. He grew up right here in the Bahamas. He didn't know who his father was, and his mother had medical issues, and so he basically grew up on his own. He slept in cars, slept in the bushes, slept at friends' houses. He joined a gang at an early age. And his future seemed to be very dark. But one day, he ran into myself and a group of other guys. And we talked to him about his life. And he had a gift. He had a gift of singing that he wasn't using. It wasn't getting him anywhere. But he took that gift and he began to develop it. Today, that same young man has been on television around the world. He has music that's been on the charts in Europe. And he's done a song that's played all over the world. It was several years ago. The song was called We Need Peace. And it featured Luciano and a number of other artists. That young man, we call him Landlord. And today he's a husband, he's a father, and he owns several radio and television programs around the world. And he came from the streets. Never even graduated high school. If he can do it, you can do it. You have to dominate in your gift. Remember this, make the most of every opportunity. Opportunities come your way every day, and you have a decision to make. You can walk away from the opportunity, you can ignore the opportunity, or you can make the most of the opportunity. Making the most of the opportunity means whatever is presented to you, you take advantage of it. I try to make the most of every opportunity. Every day of my life, I don't waste time. I'm researching. I'm writing books. I've written 17 books, and I'm working on more now. Why? Because I want to make the most of every opportunity. Remember this about life. If you want to dominate, the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. What do I mean by that? You see, all of us, we may have a dream, but if you don't hustle, your dream won't happen. So if you want your dream to happen, you have to have hustle. And when I say hustle, I'm not talking about a street hustle. I've been there with the street hustle. The end result is not good. There's no retirement plan for drug dealers. There's no retirement plan for bank robbers. They all end up in the same place, either dead or in prison. So if you're going to hustle, make sure that your hustle is an approved hustle, something that will get you to your destiny without sorrow and pain. In order to dominate, you have to have goals, you have to have priorities, and every day has to be a day of opportunity. You face every day with opportunity. Remember to put life first in every circumstance. A friend of mine once said this. He said, your gift will take you before kings. And actually, that's the verse in the Bible. It says, your gift will make room for you and present you before kings. You know, I thought about it, and today I've been around the world. I've been in Africa, I've been in Australia, I've been in New Zealand, I've been in Europe, I've been in the Caribbean, I've been in Canada, I've been a lot of different places, been many places in the world. Why? Because I developed and dominated in my gift. The more you dominate in your gift, the more people will call for you. People will look for you because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for your gift in life. Remember this. My friend who I talked about, who made this statement, his name was Dr. Miles Monroe. He said, you have to die empty. What does that mean? You don't want to go to the grave with all of your potential inside of you. If there's a book you're supposed to write, you don't want to die and never write the book. So if you're going to die, die empty. Give it all you got. Put everything, give it your best shot. Here's another important statement. Learn to deploy rather than employ. What do I mean by that? You know, so everybody wants a job. A job is an employment. But when you are manifesting your gift, it's a deployment. So you want to deploy yourself. You want to become a driver and not a passenger. And don't wait for perfection to dominate in your gift. It takes time to dominate. It takes practice to dominate. It takes energy to dominate. So take your time, continue to develop your gift, and you will get to the domination stage. Plan for tomorrow, but live for today. In other words, have a vision for your life, have a plan, but don't let today pass by. Some people, they waste today hoping for tomorrow. You have to plan for tomorrow, but live for today. Don't let an opportunity pass by. If you have an opportunity to read something, that's going to make you better. If you have an opportunity to talk to someone who's going to make you better. Let me tell you one of the best and easiest ways to succeed in life. Whatever you want to become, find somebody who's already there. So if you want to become a doctor, go to the hospital and talk to the doctor. Why? Because you are talking to somebody who already has experience in where you want to go. Find somebody who's been where you want to go, and that will help you to get to your destination. And remember this, make progress, not excuses. A lot of people, they're good at making excuses. In life, you don't want to be known for making excuses. You want to be known for making progress. And sometimes you need a team around you. Who's your team? Who's your crew? You know, some people, they have a crew, and their crew gets them in prison. Their crew gets them shot at. Their crew gets them in all kinds of problems. I have a crew. But you know what my crew does? My crew elevates me. They give me encouragement. They help me to win. They help me to avoid dangerous situations. So you have to have the right team in your life. And I want to close out with a few thoughts. Remember this, whatever you are carrying will carry you. If you don't develop it, if you don't dominate in it, it will not carry you. Success is an internal condition, not an external event. So success is not something that happens because of what happens on the outside. Success is an internal event. You become a success when you change on the inside, and then it's revealed on the outside. It doesn't happen on the outside and come in the inside. Success begins on the inside. And remember, whatever you do in life, you got to have a vision. So discover, develop, and dominate. Now, I want to show you something about vision. I want you to remember. Here's something about vision I want you to remember. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I'm going to show you something. Vision is being able to see something with your eyes closed. Now, with your eyes closed, I am going to show you a white elephant with blue dots riding a bicycle. Okay, open your eyes. How many of you saw a white elephant with blue dots riding a bicycle? You saw it because you had a vision for it. Someone spoke into your life and you visualized it. Now I want you to close your eyes one more time. This time, I want you to see yourself walking up to a building. It's a big 6-story building. And you're carrying a briefcase in your hand. And you're carrying a briefcase in your hand because the building has your name on it. And you are headed to work for a building that you own. Now let me ask you a question. Which one of those visions can you see? Can you see a white elephant with blue dots? Or can you see yourself owning your own business, changing the lives of people all around the world? It's your choice today. You have to make a decision. You have to decide what you want to become in life. I'm going to close with a story. Remember this, what I said. Whatever you are carrying is what will carry you. So one day, there was a ship that broke down in the harbor. And when the ship broke down in the harbor, they called the experts. They called the scientific experts to come and get the ship restarted again. They couldn't get the engine started. So they brought in some engineers from Harvard University, and they had diagnostic equipment. And they went into the engine room, and they started to fiddle with the engine and try to get it working. So the first day, they didn't get it working. The second day, they didn't get it working. On the third day, the janitor came by, and the janitor said, you know what? I know y'all are trying to get this to work. He said, but what I think you should do Yes, I think you should call the old man who used to fix these engines. So they looked at the janitor and they said, well, what do you know? Which old man can help us? We have technology. If we can't fix it, it can't be fixed. So the janitor said, okay. The next day, they still couldn't get it fixed. So finally, they decided, you know what? Well, anyway, let's try the old man. So they called the old man. The old man walked into the engine room, and in his pocket, he had a hammer and a screwdriver. And so they looked at him and they were like, what is this old man doing coming into a modern ship with a hammer and a screwdriver? And so they were like, old man, what are you going to do? The old man looked at them and he said, back on the side. Get out of my way. He went up to the engine. He looked at all of the Harvard scientists standing around him, and he tapped twice. Nothing happened. Tapped twice again. Turned a little screw. Tapped twice again. Engine started. So they looked at him and they said, wow, how did you do this? And so the owner of the ship said, well, we have to pay you for your services. Thank you so much. He said, would you please send me a bill? So the next day, the old man sent a bill. And the bill was $100,000. So the owner of the ship said, Mr. Old Man, I appreciate your help and everything, but $100,000? You only had a hammer and a screwdriver. How could you charge us $100,000? He said, can you give me an itemized bill? So the old man said, okay, I'll give you all an itemized bill. The old man went home and he sent them back an email. He said, hammer and screwdriver, $2. Knowing where to knock the hammer and screwdriver, $99,998. If you develop your potential, people will pay for you, they will call for you, and it'll create success in your life. Maximize your potential today through the 3 Ds. Discover, develop, and dominate. Say that with me. Say, I will discover, I will develop, and I will dominate.